Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's plenty more that we can take out of this day. There's a lot of knowledge that is going to be shared now in the next panel on stage, as the next panel, the first panel for the day, is going to talk about the North Side Glory, creating a blockbuster retail economy. And joining us in this panel, we have a esteemed set of delegates and speakers from the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome them on stage with a round of applause. Firstly, I'd like to request and invite Mr. Anand Daga, who is CEO for WTCNS Clothing Company. Please put your hands together. Mr. Anand Daga, CEO for W. That's a TCNS Clothing Company. Welcome you on stage. Please put your hands together and welcome Country Manager for Forever New, Mr. Biswanath Ganguly. Joining us next on this panel is CEO for Sagar Ratna, Mr. Murali Parna. Please welcome on stage CEO for Talking Threads, TalkingThreads.in, Pearl Uppal Kachru. Welcome you. And Managing Director for SSIPL Retail, Rishabh Soni. Executive Director for Select City Walk, Yogeshwar Sharma. So we have heavyweights from the retail sector on stage, and they'll be deliberating their ideas on the north side of story. And to moderate this wonderful session, ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody who needs absolutely no introduction. As an industry, we all know him, and I'd just not say much about him. I'll just invite him on stage. Please put your hands together for founder Train, B.S. Nagesh. Please put your hands together and let's welcome our moderator for the session.
Thank you very much, and very good morning.
Thank you.
I've just finished conducting a similar session in Bangalore, day 4 yesterday in the South India Retail Summit. And when we started the session like this, nobody was clapping. So I felt very disappointed, made them clap and tell them, do what you do. North is going to clap much better. What's happened today? Nothing has happened. You have a panel like this, and no, I want you to, that's it. Keep doing it. It's very good for your energies. It builds up. It's very good. Keep doing, you know. Yeah, that's much better. So for a moment, what we're going to do today is, we're going to make North India as not part of full India, but we make North as an independent country. Yeah, you like it? Just imagine we are talking of North as just an independent country. Yeah, and that's what I've requested all my fellow panelists to do that today. Because what we're going to look at is, what is it in North which makes it so North and so different from other parts of the country. And our attempt is to see by the end of the session, can we actually find out the so-called nuskas, the so-called nubs of North, which can make others envy North, or which can make North grow and become much bigger than any other part of this country. Are you all okay with it? Guys who are standing at the back, can you come forward? There are a lot of seats in front. Yeah. Before that, I want all of you to stand and turn around and see your chair. Do you notice anything different? Do you notice anything different on the chair you're sitting? I did the same thing in other places. People stood up. In North, they don't want even to stand up. They want to see like this. Boss, shayad sona ho. Okay? Well, there are some chairs which have got red band. Anybody who's sitting on the red banded chair, stand up. Yeah? Those of you who thought sitting on the red band, you'll be punished. You know, school mein, this is what used to happen to you. It's the other way today. All of you who are sitting on red are actually going to get some wonderful gift voucher from W. Am I right? Wonderful. So next time onwards, wherever you see red, go and sit on it. But this game is over now. Huh? After breakfast, lunch, don't come and sit on the red. No, if you come and sit in red, we're going to take 1,000 rupees, give it back to W. No, the demonetization, you know, the note ka chakkar, how it happens. Wonderful. So let me start with the panel. my first question to all of you, and anybody can pick up, you can go serial-wise, is North different? From a consumer's point of view, from a retailer's point of view, from a brand owner's point of view, from a business point of view, is North India and North Indians different? Whoever wants to pick up. There are enough mics here?
So if you look at North, I think every region in India has its own uniqueness, it has its own differences. And if you look at North, let's start with consumers. I think first, I think what Nagesh just said, he asked people in South to stand and everyone stood up, and in North it was the other way around. I think somewhere the consumers out here are slightly less tolerant, more demanding. This is what I sincerely feel when I look at any matrix across regions. Second, what I believe is, if you look at North Indian consumers, I think they are much more experimental. So as a brand, whenever we come out with something new, something fresh, North, the pickup is probably the best, and the only exception to that is Northeast India, where I find the fashion index to be still higher. But otherwise, if you look at the North Indian consumer, I think offtake as far as fashion goes is much faster. Coming to franchisees and business owners, I think somewhere the risk-taking ability and the propensity to get out of your comfort zone to build something bigger. Again, this is one thing which I find in North Indian entrepreneurs much more than what I would find in other places. So that spirit ki yaar ho jayega, dekh lenge, kar lenge is pretty high. So these are the two things which I think is different in North India compared to probably other parts.
I actually have a proof from this. So instead of saying, aap log khade ho, if I'd ask apne bagal wale ko khada karo, to khada kar diya hota. Yeah, I have learned something in the last 2 minutes. Anybody else who wants to bring a different perspective to the North business person?
Okay, I'll.
You have a lot more. Sorry, you have a lot more Punjabis in North India, so that definitely makes a difference. But yeah, I would tend to agree. I think North Indians spend a little bit more money. It's fewer people spending money. I think that is the challenge that we have this thing. But the people who are spending money, spending by and large on a larger ticket size than what one would see across the rest of the country. And you want the newest thing, you want the latest thing. You know, it's a lot more social sort of led demand.
So let me ask this to Yogeshwar. Are retailers coming to Select Saket wanting to spend more money?
Yes, completely. I mean,
Retailers coming to you to spend more money in terms of
retailers, no,
rental? Are yaar, I'm asking that. Yeah?
I'm always stuck with the consumers.
Oh, I just thought, otherwise other mall owners tell me you have to negotiate with retailers to get money.
Yeah.
But the way Rishabh said, I thought maybe they come and say, Yogesh ji, 2 rupees extra le lo mere se.
Actually, the rental is a function of sales. So, I mean, if the sales are good, I have now come across any retailer who doesn't want to
Do
pay.
you see anything different in the way the shop owners of Select Saket
Yeah.
behave and do things? Because you are a very successful mall.
Yeah.
Okay, one part of the success is because of what you have done. But eventually, it is the collective we of Select Saket which has made it successful. So
Yes.
tell us something about that we. What is it that they do differently with you, or how do you make them do things? Many of us feel it's very difficult to make some of the North Indian brands do that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of reasons behind, and a lot of people behind. I mean, we work harder, we believe so. And second reason is that the retailers.
Is it being recorded? I'm going to take this to South. Yeah, because he said we work harder. Huh?
Yeah, and secondly, before the retailer comes to us that he is not performing well or there's something wrong with it, we go to him and say there's something wrong that you are not able to come up to the expectations of the consumers. So either you look into your merchandise, or there's something supply chain, or there's something wrong with you, because within the same category, somebody else is able to perform. So if you are not performing, there's something wrong. So we are a little proactive in reaching the retailer, and we give him a couple of suggestions, and we try to promote him within the brand. If it doesn't work out, then politely request him to move on.
I love the way politely request them to move on. Pearl, Rishabh said that actually the North Indian customers, they spend a lot, some of them. I mean, you also have Pearl in your name and Pearl of Wisdom with you. I mean, you must be easily able to catch on to those customers who are high spenders. And anyhow, your average transaction value and your average cash flow must be much higher than most of the people sitting here.
So, two things at point. One
So I have actually, if Amitabh is there somewhere, Amitabh, there's an opportunity to do a Delhi India Retail Summit. Because it is coming out as a Delhi is a very different behavior when compared to the overall North. Uh, Vishwanath, how do you see this whole thing about the North Indian behavior? And I want you to reflect, you also were involved in skilling. You also have looked at training. So also talk about the people aspect of North. Yeah, I mean, are the employees, the associates, and the people who work in North very different than others? And what are the things that can make a North Indian employee associate be more proactive on service compared to other parts of the world?
That's a, that's a very interesting angle you brought out, Nagesh. And, I speak from, last 15 years. So a large part of my career I've spent with menswear. And it's only recently that, I'm doing completely women's wear. So my experiences from a product point of view in that sense have been quite polar, while the markets have been very similar. But if I were to just draw on the last 15 years and the last 1 year with Forever New, the primary differences between, let's say, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere of India across the three aspects of a customer experience. So so if you were to just split the customer experience into three buckets, every customer wants to be recognized, he wants to be understood, and he wants to be appreciated. There is a very significant difference between North and South in the first two. A customer in the North, he expects. Now, there is another one vital difference that all of you need to understand is that, and I obviously speak from a menswear and a women's wear perspective both, that in the North, people are loyal to a brand and to a store. Versus in the South, people are loyal to a brand and they really don't have a problem whether they are in Bangalore, if they are hopping from 100 feet or from Garuda. It doesn't make too much of a difference. Whichever market they are in, they would just, pop into the brand store and pick up something. Whereas in the North, a customer would travel to come to my, let's say, Select City Walk store or to the DLF Promenade store. Why? Because, you know what, there is this girl who there understands me so well.
Wow.
She's the one who's able to connect with me. She's the one, the moment I walk inside the store, she's the one who recognizes me. She's the one who knows what I bought last time and therefore engages with me so brilliantly. So that entire experience, what I just said, recognized. So that entire bit about North is very, very high. People want to be recognized. They want, the moment they walk into the store, there's a very huge need in them that someone should recognize them. Second part is the understood, which again comes from, what even Anant was saying, was the understood bit. They're not too clear. And obviously, I work in high-end women's fashion. And women, obviously, they have a very, very large understanding of what they want to wear vis-a-vis men. Even then, they would want to come in, they would want to seek advice. And that's why, I was continuing to talking to Pearl. I still believe that there's a huge future for physical retail going forward. Why? Just because there is a huge element of people wanting to get an affirmation on what they are buying from someone there on the floor.
Wonderful. Sagar Ratna has a different kind of an experience in terms of behavior. Food,
fact, no,
eating out.
I was about to say about the recognition, and for us it has been very blatant on some of the stores. For example, I'm sure there are many people sitting over here who still would like to only visit a Defense Colony or a Malviya Nagar store and not visit the other 36 restaurants, just because the person who is at the door and he recognizes him or her and would like to just say, hello, I am here, please get my table in time. So I would endorse completely on the food side of it, saying yes, that is there. But one aspect that I would say, there is slight negative that I would go into is the following up of processes and systems. Some of these things in the northern part, I would say, is a bit more difficult to get things done as much as the ability to get it done in a southern or a western market. So that's something more to do with, it may be brand-led, or it could be just a behavioral issue that we have seen in a small niche area. that could be one of the difference, I would say.
Just hold on. Let me go back to the audience. Can we have the house light on for a minute, please? I mean, there are a lot of things which have actually come out. The last statement was almost saying, you know, the North Indians are a little lazy or little ढीठ हैं. Morning में brush तो जरूर करते हैं, but बाकी processes करते समय अगर नहीं भी हो तो चलता है. Okay. Before I go on to the next part of the session, anybody here has a question around this session that we have had, which is about the behavior of North business, North businessmen, North customers, and also North Indian employees? Yes, please. We want the audience to keep interacting. It's a 1.5 hour session. I mean, it's not about 5 versus 50. It's about 55 together. Yeah. Yeah. Make it a little short and quick. Yeah. So we have a session, and this was one of the briefings, that is North India advantaged because of the seasonality, and I'm going to take this as one part of the session, and probably will involve you at that particular point of time. Anybody else who has any question or any quick comment to make, or you want to interact or say something? Yes, please. Yeah. Let the mic keep coming. Oh, you already got the mic. Yes. We'll take only 2 more. We go back to the panel. After you, this gentleman. Yeah. This is a very interesting thing he has mentioned. It's the aggression or the aggressive behavior of North Indians, okay? But he says when the same people work under an H&M and a Zara, okay, their behavior gets modified. So I would like to ask you, I mean, does it happen in forever? What do you do? Because then you should be made the ambassador of North India. Because you can actually change the behavior of a lot of North Indians. Huh? I mean, that was a very, very good point that you meant about aggression. Is it true?
Not really. I think the aggression is more from the point of view of the businesses. And so when you enter a store and someone is running after you to make you buy something, it is essentially telling you that that guy has a steep target. That guy has a steep target, and a large part of his daily earning or a monthly earning is dependent on the incentive that he would drive out of the sale that he would do for you. Okay? So that's the first understanding that one needs to have. Second understanding that you need to have is so, you know, as Nagesh sir said, skilling is a very, very large, not understood science in this country. A large part of our retail force is largely unskilled. A lot of them do not know how should they approach a customer. A lot of them do not know how should they start a conversation. A lot of them do not know how does IPT happen, which is items per transaction. A lot of them do not know how should they take up their ATVs. So this desperation that you see in them to do a sale and therefore get you an incentive is actually translating into some form of an aggression. But it is largely coming out of his low levels of skill.
So I would say there could be one more reason, that you also see there is a language barrier a little more in this part, because being a Hindi-speaking nation, I mean this part being, that English language could also make a difference. But I think the learning here is that skilling is very important for the front-end staff in any service business. And retail, for reasons of higher attrition, it's a chicken and egg story. When I talk to a lot of people, they say, you know, they live only for 3 months, how can we put money behind training? And when you talk to the youth, he says, पढ़े लिखे नहीं है, कोई पढ़ाता नहीं है, तो जिंदगी में आगे कैसे बढ़ेंगे, इसलिए छोड़ के चले जा रहे हैं. You know, it's a chicken and egg. But I think that's a very important point he has raised in terms of investing in people, where eventually the last mile makes a large amount of difference. And this is no more in brick and mortar, it's also happening in online retail. where online retailers are realizing that actually the brand is showcased at the time somebody opens the door and takes a parcel from you, and the behavioral exchange that happens in the last 2 minutes or 3 minutes time. Yeah, your question, please. And then we'll go back to our original panel. Yeah. I would like to add an input here, since we do a lot of work for the audience. Last year, as a trust, we did some research. The average attrition in India was 7.8% per month. 7.8% per month, so take it as 8%. So literally 96% is the turnover of this, of retail, and the highest is in Bangalore. Highest is Bangalore. Okay, north is definitely there, but highest is Bangalore, and it is because of the immigrants who go into those places. So our understanding is the immigrants, they actually leave faster because they send 80% of what they earn, they send back to their hometown. Average earning last year was 10,610 rupees. Average saving is 1,800 rupees. They spend between 6,000 to 8,000. They live on 2,500 a month. This is our own employees' data that I'm giving. Okay, and maybe you would want to comment on attrition and what is it that you believe one can do.
I can, but if someone wants to talk.
Go ahead.
I think I completely agree with what you are saying. But see, again, apart from these regional specific things, what I have seen is it also depends on how strongly you are managing your operations in a region. I've often seen a strong area sales manager loses much lesser people, be whatever region you take, whatever competition you take. Again, I think it also dependent on the kind of retail, the new retail that is coming in vicinity. So suppose if you have a road, you have a mall, and now 4 more are opening, it's very natural that people would be poached and the attrition would be high. But I think a lot of it depends on the brands, on the retailers, how they are managing this to control it to a great extent.
But let me add you 2 more inputs from the same research. So when we went and checked that, in a 90% attrition, we found a few companies who are at 10 to 12% per year, less than 1%. And we actually went deeper to check, and we found out 2 things. One is respect. They said we need to be respected, okay? And when we said respect, mostly it was the supervisory behavior. So what we do as an industry is we promote associates into supervisor without training them how to supervise and what are the behavioral patterns of supervision. That's one. The second thing they said was very, very important and interesting. They said, helping me succeed. They said, our organizations don't prepare me to success when we don't achieve targets, like what he said in terms of pressure, we are fired. Okay, but they don't help us succeed. Only 2 things, respect and help me succeed. 2 simple things, and if you ask me as a human being, all of us, irrespective of whether an associate or a CEO, we are looking at only these 2 things. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought this out, Nagesh. And I'd like to talk about a project that we did in my earlier organization, which is the Aditya Birla Group, with the more set of stores. So they ran a project called Plugging the Leaking Bucket. And the attrition levels were very similar, what you said, 7, 8, and I think they had, at that point in time, an attrition rate of about 10%. So that it was a 6-month project wherein they did various things. First of all, what they did is, and the first, the slide of that presentation said, do not treat your staff like SKUs. Okay? So all the people in the front end, whether it is the store managers, whether it is the area managers, by virtue of the fact that they have all come up the harder way, they've all been store associates, floor associates at some point in time, and therefore they have been treated in such a way. And through that entire mechanism they have come up, they used to think that that is the way to behave. The way to behave is to treat your people in the front end as SKUs. हाँ, आप नहीं काम करोगे, कोई और करेगा, उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? आप छोड़ के चले जाओगे, मैं किसी और को रख लूँगा. So that was the mindset, and I think that first thing that we went about doing was that we changed that mindset completely. We did coffee with stores. We found out that there were huge amount of issues at the bottom level around respect, around helping me succeed. Simple issues. A store like More, which runs in 3 shifts, starts at 7 in the morning and ends at 11 in the night. The first shift usually was with women, because the women can't come in the last shift. Or they even have a problem in coming in the second shift because they have to go back home, they have children, they have other household duties. So the women would usually be in the first shift. And it's in the first shift when the truck comes, the van comes, and they are being expected to unload the vehicle, get the entire stuff back into the shelves. So they used to leave, and nobody used to listen to them. So when we put this listening in program, they told us, see, essentially we leave because these are the issues. What we did, that van which used to come, we added 2 helpers to that van, and that van would go around to 10, 11 stores right in the morning. With just that initiative, we plugged the attrition by almost half in the first shift in more stores. Second initiative, we said that you will have to start, every store manager will have to start forecasting his attrition. If you do not know who is going to leave you, you do not know your staff well. So with the monthly meeting, the store manager would stand up and make a presentation and say, okay, this month my attrition is this much, next month my attrition is going to be this much. And that's when he will be asked a huge set of questions.
I just want to add something here. I know Murli wants to say something, but very interesting thing. In one company, we actually changed the word attrition. In that company, there is no measurement of attrition, there is measurement of retention. If you mentally look at, say, the moment you have to explain why you have 5% retention, is all about replacement of people you lose. The moment you talk of 95% retention, it is all about holding people who are with you. I mean, there's a huge difference. I can challenge you, go back to your companies and start using the word retention. Change the KPIs of people. Instead of saying 5% attrition, you say 95% retention, and you see it from day one actually what difference it will make. And it's an amazing results that we have seen in many companies. The second interesting thing is, the shift starts at 7 in the morning, Monday to Sunday, ends at 11. The head office of companies works between 9:30 to 6:30, Monday to Friday. 50% of the business happens 5:30 to 9:30, and 50% of business happens on Saturday, Sunday. So the management of most businesses are not connected. I'm part of many managements, but this is the reality. And retail is one where you have to be where the customer is and where you have actually your employees are. Yeah, I just want to, Murli, you want to say something, and then I want Pearl, you to pick up the mic, we move over to the technology part. Thank you very much for wonderful questions. This is fun.
I feel stunted actually, sitting in a retail panel where the attrition level is only about single digits.
Oh,
I don't know how many of you are from the F&B.
keep the mic a little closer to your mouth. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
The industry average for F&B is anywhere around 35 to 40%. And the ability to actually, this is per annum.
Oh, no, you are very good. We are talking of 80 to 90% per annum.
Okay.
7% per month.
Then maybe like, we are
Cheer yourself, cheer.
Very good.
Very good.
I mean, we struggle. I mean, I now see the difference actually. So 30 to 40% for us is like hiring almost like 400 cooks on a monthly basis and replacing them every time across all the 95 stores that we do. And the difficulty is, like, I mean, as you said earlier, is about keeping that knowledge within the system and actually retaining that and going. And the difference between, and one of the things that we noted was, if you allow, I mean, there were people, like, I mean, who never wanted to pass on their traits or the skills that they have learned so easily to the next level. And this is something probably unique to the F&B space, where we found it very difficult, and it was a barrier in everybody's mind, saying like, I mean, if I tell the other person whatever I did, and I cook, I mean, I make the other person a better cook, the probability is that I will lose my job. And the other person may actually take over his or her job. And this is something that was a barrier at our end, at least in the F&B space, and we tried to overcome that. And we worked on a specific project about saying, how do we multi-skill people, bring the ability and start recognizing people about telling, like, I mean, if you know more than one skill, then you probably will be in a different cadre. You will get into become a buddy who will be a trainer. And as you get along, you will have the opportunity to become a manager in that restaurant. So you had to develop a program to actually make them see that you can grow as you learn and as you train others also. And that was very critical that we figured out.
So we'll just
Nagesh, if I could just
Yeah,
sort of
sorry.
add to
Yeah.
this one point. I thought, coming back to people in North India, the one thing that I've noticed is the ability to move people around. I think people in North India are a lot more open to what we see in the rest of parts of the
Yes,
country.
yes,
And I
yes.
think that is something that, one should
Yeah, mobility is very important.
The
Yeah.
ability to sort of move around.
Yeah.
Even if you're promoting people from other parts of the country, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot more rigidity to this thing.
In fact, I want
So
to
that
pick up from you only, Rishabh. We want to shift the gear to technology. I mean, you run something with a global corporation. Okay, tell me one thing. When you are looking at global technology being adopted, okay, and you have so much of infrastructure in the north, I mean, how well does North adopt technology, and how well are you able to take technology to the next level within your own ecosystem of whatever you're doing?
Well, within our own ecosystem, I think the obvious answer would be cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, find it much easier to understand that. I think North does struggle, but again, pockets pick it up fairly well. So I don't think Delhi has an issue, but
So-
if you look at other smaller cities within North, they take slightly longer.
Let's move towards the use of technology, because the whole Prime Minister's movement of digitization, the country going through digitization, and Pearl, if you could actually pick up the thread and talk about saying, you do everything with digital and technology, and you've been very successful in doing something which is not even mass. In the minds of all of us here, a digital technology scale-up is mass and not niche, okay? How does this work? And you operate out of this part of the country. Tell us some of the challenges, some of the issues, and the opportunities that has made what you do so successful.
So let me give a quick backdrop as to why we are purely digital retail. Two core reasons. One was that the store format needs a huge amount of capital to scale access. Right? So one part, our brand is a 4-year-old brand and gets shipped to over 40 countries and over 100 cities in India. It can get shipped to more cities in India, but that's where our current customer base is. So one part was the digital retail aspect scaling from an access perspective. The other was keeping the supply chain nimble. I've been involved in various formats of retail for the last few years, and I realized that if we can keep our inventory to maybe maximum 45 days to 2 months of sales, that makes it hugely efficient and makes it a very responsive brand. And when you work in luxury retail, being responsive and not being stuck with inventory is probably a make or break of a retail brand. So when we adopted technology on the retail front, these were the two primary drivers. It doesn't mean we may not open stores in the future, we may, but they will always be experience stores and never hardcore retail stores. So when we talk about, Nagesh, so when we talk about how technology is enabling retail, there are various aspects, right? When we look at marketing and brand building, our awareness is purely digital. And there in the north of this country, people are very open because women are they want to chat, they're socially very enabled online. So conversational commerce, which is really the trend and will be the future, driven by relationships. So while we're digital in retail, we have human beings in the business. We're not run by bots, right? So conversations, relationships easily scale over the web, where to your point, when a person walks into the store, we see our storefront as a web chat. So when a person walks into the store, our system reads who this person is, when did she visit last, what was her last purchase, what products is she considering. Now data becomes a huge enabler for training of our representatives to talk intelligently to the customer, not be pushy, and be more pull-based. So as far as marketing and brand awareness is concerned, we're purely digital, and that scales beautifully. And then comes the whole transaction and delivery, which is where the North behaves very differently from the rest of the country, where they want more touch and feel, and they want to really come in and understand that nobody's cheating them. I mean, I don't know why, but the women of West are more trusting. When they transfer 70,000 rupees for a sari to us, they're not hounding us for the next 20 minutes that, tell me when is it being shipped, tell me, so it's very different. So we have to use a lot of trust building features for our North customers versus our West and South customers. We don't have so much business in Northeast right now. So we see that technology scales beautifully. At the same time, it has to be supported by what you guys do every day, which is relationship building, trust, know your customer, make sure that people who are talking to the customer are talking to them intelligently.
Pearl, I just want to pick up from here, and I don't know where Amitabh is here, somewhere I saw Anjali. I think there's a huge opportunity for us to change. Anand is so strange. She said conversationalist behavior, okay? And we know that most women, when they come into our stores, our associates who are able to engage with them, we do more business, yeah? Around the world, 55% of people in retail from top to bottom are women. Here, I think images has been very sensitive. We got Pearl here. In most of sessions I conduct, they don't even get a woman on the panel. Here there are only 6 women, and we are in the business of retail. Is it because men don't know how to converse and are sitting here? Why don't we get conversational women coming on to retail? And wherever women have served in retail, that retail has been very, very successful. So I don't want to get into this discussion, okay, because we are going out of the subject, but I definitely want you to continue the discussion on technology. And if I can just ask Yogeshwar to really pick. Yeah. Yeah. How many? 80%. Wonderful. So we're going to have a conference where we'll ask your staff to come on the stage there and talk. That's wonderful. Yeah, we also need to keep warming up our hand. Every occasion that you get, please do this. It's good. Weather is also thandi lag rahi hai.
Yeah,
So,
I would like to add something here. In our case also, like, if I have to decide between a brand, for example, Bobby Brown versus Chanel makeup or Dior makeup, I mean, you're expecting too much from me. So one of the key reason our mall is doing relatively well is that we have 29 women working who are consumers also of the mall
29 of them in your
team.
out of the total of?
We're 130.
Okay, so
including,
not bad.
including,
20%.
including engineering and all that.
got
So
it,
if we
got
take
it,
the
got
core
it.
team, out of 60, 29 will be women.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And so if I have to decide between a brand, so I mean, it's not possible that I'm not capable of deciding between these things.
So I just want us to now move track and from
Yeah,
where Pearl left. Tell me now, as the whole online business
Yeah.
is going up, e-commerce is going up, a successful brick and mortar mall. Okay, what are you looking at in the northern sector to make the mall as an omni-channel mall?
Yeah.
Okay, because I think that's the move which is very important for us.
Yeah. So 3-4 years back, we started this because everybody was talking about online. So we hired a company and they asked us the budget. We gave them a 5 crore rupee budget and they gave us a plan. And then it was too little. Then we said, oh, can you make it a plan of 50 crores? They make a plan of 50 crore. So at the end of it, we didn't go ahead with because Amazon, Flipkart, we couldn't compete with them. So we said, okay, we'll deal with it later. I have personally one regret with technology. In last 8 years, a lot of people have come to us that they can do. The whole world has been serviced by Indians. But simple thing like collecting sales data from all the retailers, electronically or digitally, has not been possible in our mall with all our intention, all retailers' intention. Sometimes server is down, something, like Wi-Fi. It's working, but it's not effective. I mean, how do you differentiate? No, I mean,
So you are seeing a challenge, yeah?
There is a challenge, but after Jio has come in, things are improving very fast. But there is so much we can use technology to as an enabler to do brick and mortar well, which is still missing. It's my core now job responsibility to make sure that we use technology in every front.
So I just want to share the power of networking, especially for those of you who attend conferences. Day before yesterday in an evening session in Bangalore, I did a fireside chat with the youngest CEO in the world. His name is Suhas Gopinath. He became a CEO at the age of 14. Now he's 29. He's an advisor to the Prime Minister of India. And he has started something called Shops Up. Okay, I was with him yesterday. I'll introduce him to you.
Yeah, sure.
50% of your problem, he'll sort it out for you. Yeah?
Thank you.
So that's the power of networking and understanding what's happening.
So one last point that if we are, online is definitely catching up, there's no denial into it. So if brick and mortar has to really remain relevant, they also have to invest in technology so that they are able to serve the consumers better.
Yeah.
So that's a big challenge.
So I'll come to Anand, but before that, I do want to give some data point where somebody was asking about this. As of now, we know that close to about 10% of the overall retail is modern, with 2% in the food and 35% in the women and fashion, especially in fashion. That's the range. And the penetration has been between 1 to 2% online versus brands which are talking of almost 20% of the business coming from online. So there is no averages. It depends on what each one has taken up. So there are brands which are now doing 20% of the business online, and there are brands which are doing 1%. There are categories where the modern retail is just 2%, and there are categories like footwear, like watches, like fashion, which has reached 30 to 35%. So it purely depends on what you are doing. And just let's talk about technology, and then we'll shift to the last portion of the session.
I would tend to agree with what Ugeshu was saying. Today, if you look at the landscape, technology landscape, you have all kind of technologies which are available. Magic mirrors, virtual fitting rooms, beacon technology, whatnot. And again, if you look at retailers and brands, most of us are using one piece or two piece in 2 stores or 4 stores. So select, everyone would put their best foot forward. But what we need actually as retailers is a more integrated technology platform. The first thing to my mind is changing the mindset that we as brands and retailers have. I sincerely believe consumers are ages ahead in terms of technology adoption than what we retailers are. So first thing, as an organization, are we thinking digital first? As an organization, are we evaluating technology options for whatever else is there? Today, if you ask any of us sitting here, we all are doing omni-channel. But why are we doing omni-channel? Because it has become inevitable. It's not by choice. So I think somewhere, as a retailer brand, we have to start making these choices which are technology driven. Only then can we succeed in creating a, see, if you look at a consumer, they can traverse between an online and offline world seamlessly. I don't think as consumers, when we enter a store and we switch on our mobile, our mind is moving from offline to online, online to offline. But if you look at organization structure, we still believe this is online business, this is offline business. I think this needs to go.
Yeah,
So I think there's a long, long way which we can move ahead with.
Just want to add one point here, Nagesh, that, it's very well put by you that it's not omni-channel. It's really seamless. And the opportunity for India is so huge in retail. We're saying X percentage of our transactions are digital versus rest all driven by stores. If retailers' mindsets would change, and I hear you that there are technology infrastructure issues or products which are supposedly there but really not getting implemented. But that aside, if we were to look at any store of India, when I go to a Zara, I look at the catalog online, first decide my products, because Zara is a mammoth place to find products. But no person on the shop floor can help me if I go with a product, if I don't have the product code, but if I'm saying that I've seen this online, they are not well versed with their digital catalogs, right? So it's and that's one of the big retailers which is very digitally supposedly savvy. So nothing is omni-channel as of now in India. If you're talking to the shop floor, they don't even know what was uploaded at what price in the digital landscape by their brand. I have personally bought a Steve Madden in the store, come back home and saw it at 30% less. Brand-owned store. So and when I went back to the shop floor, they said, we don't know. Right? Sorry, but nothing can be done. So just one thing, that if we were to say that as our consumers hit the stores, they are not suddenly switching on their Wi-Fis and or switching off. They are seamlessly with their mobiles, and our catalogs, our merchandising needs to speak the same language, and we will see this 5% and 10% of digital transactions being 30 to 40%, even in a country like India, for premium labels. I'm not talking about, because there are areas where people are not digitally savvy. So,
but let me give you an interesting stat before you go on. When we do our work, we checked up on this. 90% of the retailers' store policy says mobile to be switched on when inside the store. So actually, we are talking of a digital revolution. And so customer comes absolutely on top 1 second before. and the retail employee has got his Monday report which tells him about the schemes, or if he has gone and every store has only one PC, and most of them are POS-cum PC, and not even a separate desktop. So, I mean, these are challenges that we have to somewhere address. Yes, and then go.
Just adding to that, in fact, I'm also great. We do the same thing. So when we look at our sales cuts, we say EBO this much business, MBO this much, large format, always this much. Why always a different channel? Some part of it is every channel. But unfortunately, we continue to look at it that way. Second, what you are saying is so true. Right now, the in-thing is we need one single uniform view of consumer. Great, everyone is talking about that. But what about one single view of the brand for the consumer? Pricing difference, cataloging difference, experience difference. Online, if you buy something, you'll get return policy 2 days, you can get it. If it's offline, 15 days, why? So I think these are the questions we have to address.
Let me add one more very interesting thing. There's a footwear retailer in UK, and I forgot the name, but I know the example. What they have done is that the moment an order comes from the nearest place to that store, they have some 100, 200 stores in London itself, immediately the ping goes to the store manager, and he takes a call that out of the 3 associates, which associate can be sent. And if he accepts, it's like the Ola or Uber driver, then he picks up the shoes and goes and delivers. So now what's happened is every associate has actually become a customer care associate for that company. So there's nothing called omni-channel outside. So you don't require a FedEx. Their own system starts actually working. Wonderful. We'll go on to the last phase. Oh, sorry, you want to say something? Yeah.
Just one observation more from the F&B side. Just as the food aggregators came in, like Zomato or Swiggy and all these people, suddenly the ability to reach out to those customers who needed convenience increased. And the market size of the delivery market actually just grew by, it just grew. And the people who ate out, I mean, if I have to look at that as the universal segment, that suddenly grew in double digits. Just because the home delivery segment and the convenience bit came through. So from a technology perspective, on the F&B space, this was one change that we could see in the last 6 months.
Also, little more information. Most of us do not consider alternate channels as a competition. In one of the FMCG, where we are talking about food products, we actually found the consumption coming down. And we said that the target audience is now doing between 4 to 8 meals a month outside. Okay, so when we calculated that for a household of 4, 8 meals is 32 meals into 50 grams, okay, we said that 180 to 200 or whatever, 500 grams of grains consumption has come down. And that has come down to the buying basket to the Kirana and FMCG. So for us, most of us think that, we are buying FMCG and FMCG is competition. No, the restaurant guy is a competition. Or for example, in department stores, customers spend on an average an hour and spend 2,500 rupees. And their alternate is when they go to see a movie, they're actually spending 2,500 rupees and 3 hours, and they knock out the visit of the customer. So alternate businesses are actually competing with us, and that's what is happening in the digital world. Okay, I'm going to throw a last question. For a moment, within the closed doors, you have been appointed the Prime Minister of North India. Okay, and you have to go and pitch. You don't want to be the Prime Minister. Okay. No. Oh, maybe you wanted the Chief Minister of Delhi. Yeah? Okay. Anyhow, so what we want you to do is just think that if you have to attract people to come and invest in North, then in 2020, what will be your pitch for North? Okay, and what is that one thing that you see in North which can make North Indian retail a real blockbuster? And that's our theme of today. Okay, you can take it whichever way you want, and anybody who wants to take on. It's a chance of becoming the Prime Minister. The first one grabs it, wo kursi chipak jayega fir. See, he caught it. He caught it.
So let me, not as the PM, but just as a food space especially. The North Indian customer is very savvy about eating outside. So from our perspective, what we have seen is the sheer number of times that they would like to have food outside of their home is much more. And that actually is exciting from a consumption perspective, and therefore the ability to have more number of restaurants in a given square kilometer area is far higher, and that is much better for a business which looks at a hub and spoke kind of a model. And this is more administrative, I mean, from a cost perspective, because if you have more stores within a smaller area geographically, it makes much sense to basically manage them and control them. And
So this opportunity is just not more stores. You're saying that anybody who's in the business of consumption through eating out, okay, it could be somebody who's making plates. Yeah, somebody who could be making plates and cutleries, or maybe somebody who's doing disposables, or whatever. Fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, I think from a 2020 perspective, the consumption levels generally across the country should start getting much better. There are a lot of studies which show South Indian states to be more middle class economy. So I think the rate of growth in North India can be a lot more exciting. It'll also be linked to the way the infrastructure is coming up, and we see a lot of that activity happening. So like I said in my earlier point, I think North Indians do end up spending more money. It's just that fewer of us are doing it.
Anyone
So as
trigger
the
that you want to
numbers-
give, Rishabh? Any trigger that you identify which can make a difference in the next 3 years?
I personally think it's very state specific. We are moving to a very state specific sort of a thing. So wherever you're seeing governments becoming more proactive, both in terms of ease of doing business as well as creating the infrastructure, I think that's where we're beginning to see consumption pick up.
So let me make a little more provocative statement, okay? Let me make an assumption. I may be wrong. Please kill me for that. Let's say the North Indians are more healthy, yeah? And this time Airtel Marathon, I think 35,000 people ran. So let's say if the health, wellness, and fitness comes much stronger in North, okay, therefore there's a possibility that the way they look and feel is likely to change. And will they bring in better fashion consciousness, more consumption on fashion, and more organic and wellness kind of a food habit happening? Can that be an opportunity? Because we are seeing a trend. I mean, morning walkers, exercisers, I mean, certainly the six packs, imaginatively.
Okay, I completely agree with you. Every person I come across on daily basis is either having a Fitbit or something, to measure his steps and all that. So North Indians are really investing in fitness and food. There's a huge undercurrent of food revolution which is going to happen, which will definitely force QSRs to rethink their business model. The curated foods, the healthy food, these are coming in a big way. And they're already visible, but in next 1 to 2 years, I know personally people who are investing so much on organic, healthy food that it will be a big change. Coming to, can I take?
Yeah, please.
Okay. According to a philosophy, every human being has greed, aggression, and stupidity. Some bit of proportions vary, and in North Indians, proportion are a little higher.
All the three or two of them?
All the three. Greed and whole development of since the Homo sapiens we evolved, all development happened because of these three,
correct,
poisons. So,
correct.
and all misery is also because of these three. I mean,
Agreed.
they go hand in hand.
Agreed.
So when we talk, and there's a disclaimer that I'm not putting down any other region of the.
That's okay. We are all friends.
Flexible, it is very difficult to win an argument with a person from West Bengal. They are intellectually so high. You can't win an argument with them.
As demonstrated by the leader.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And if you go to South India, theoretically they are hugely ahead of anybody. They can prove 2 into 2 is 4 by many ways. But in North India, 2 into 2 can be proven 5. क्यों मैं कह रहा हूँ ना तो है. And there is one crisis, identity crisis we all face. And every day in the mall there's one person at least who says तू जानता नहीं मैं कौन हूँ, मतलब मेरा बाप कौन है या तू मेरे को जानता नहीं मेरा बाप कौन है. And the credit goes to Mr. Babar. So many years ago, we have been invaded, we are fighters, and there is identity crisis for sure. We want to be different, we want to be, leap forward, we want to do something different, कि भाई दूसरे से different होना है, चाहे गलत ही लगूं, लेकिन दूसरे से अलग होना है.
You know what? I must share this with you, my experience. Very early, we opened this Shopper Stop in Ansal Plaza. I don't know how many of you would remember that. The first 2 weeks challenge for me was, every customer took some name, every customer, and asked our associate to carry the bag to the parking. And this was the first time we had a basement parking in Ansal Plaza. It was so complicated, so half our staff used to be doing errands. And it got settled out after 1 week, 2 weeks. Then we opened Lucknow store after so many years. Lucknow, we had a new problem. Every 10th man will come with a bodyguard and a gun. Okay? The bodyguard weight used to be in grams, not kgs. And the gun used to be like an antique rusted gun. but they will insist that they have to come with the bodyguard and the gun. So one day I asked the gunman, I said, "ये बंदूक कभी चलाया था?" बोलता, "सर मुझे इसको लटकाने के अलावा कुछ नहीं आता है." So this is identity that you're talking of.
I know, we have seen that the most expensive car, but unable to pay 30 rupees of parking, and they will park outside, block the road, and and then they'll go to petrol pump, and the most expensive car, and they will say, "कि 500 रुपए का petrol डाल दे." It doesn't matter. I mean, they
No,
will
but-
beg, borrow, steal, but they want to show that. I mean, they
No,
are.
but this is also an opportunity. I think
It's a big opportunity.
yeah, this is an opportunity in terms of conspicuous consumption, and I think a lot of, eventually the money flows. Because eventually, below the bed you can keep only so much, behind the toilet only X. It flows back into the system. So wonderful, let's come back to the... sorry.
One last
Yeah.
point. In most of the developed economies, you can predict that this is the income and this is the shopping behavior. In North, you cannot, all statistics have gone wrong because the aspirational shopping adds so much that the income levels have no meaning to it. I mean, they will beg, borrow, steal, but the aspirations are so high to look good that they will go at any extent to
We
shop.
will have one session where we'll only bring you on the stage and we'll talk about spirituality to North Indian behavior. Yeah, this is very, really wonderful. Still no claps, yeah. Come on, this is... Yeah, keep getting ready. We're going to come back to question. Anant, yeah, let's talk about the prime ministerial part. I want the blockbuster, the one or two traits which have come out which are wonderful. I do want you to talk about.
So what I'll do is I'll take this question in two parts. One, what North has to offer, and second, what are the triggers to my mind. So first, I believe if you look at North, I think it has a huge population. So big consumption market, which is definitely in the offing. Second, I think as a retailer and a brand, you want quality retail space, and you want those areas and markets, which again, I think North offers. Third, in terms of sales staff, in terms of retail force, again, you have a breed of people who are ready, who can get it done. So I think all these, coming to consumers, I think one, spending power, which is high. Second, fashion index, which relative to a lot of other markets are pretty high. They are willing to experiment, they are willing to try new things. So I think all this gives a good opportunity for a marketeer to come and explore this market. In terms of trigger, I think I would agree with what you're saying. It's not only health. I think anything that is related to new age occupation, new age lifestyle, all that adds. For example, look at Gurgaon. I think the IT industry came, the marketing company came, and today with 5, 6, 7 malls in Gurgaon, the kind of business we do is bigger than probably what do in Pune or a Kolkata. I think these are the industries which should be attracted, which gets youth in, because they are the ones who I believe will drive branded business ahead. So this could be a big trigger as far as North goes.
Yep. Bishwanath, you want to pick up?
Yeah, I think, Anant has taken all my lines. But fundamentally, if there is just one trigger that I would like to, let's say, as a Prime Minister of Northern Hemisphere, I think the market that I offer, as a Northern market, is very, very unique. Because people here really want to look good. They have this huge need for social recognition. They have this huge need for getting appreciated, which is a couple of miles ahead of the rest of the markets. East somewhere, or Northeast, if you were to say from a fashionability quotient or fashion index, comes a little closer to North, but West is catching up. South is definitely a couple of years behind. So North as a market you really cannot miss, because this is the market where the consumers are, this is the market where markets are, this is the market where the spending power is, big bills, higher IPTs, and obviously the right kind of shopping spaces and the right kind of consumers.
Murli, you want to pick up on this? Then I'll ask Pearl to...
I guess I started it with the saying the spending power is definitely one of them, and I kind of only just would rebound whatever everybody said is about the recognition piece, and that is something that if we, whatever strategy we place, in a restaurant, if you do not have, we attempted this, and therefore, we failed in that. Sagaratna used to be a completely service restaurant. We attempted a self-service restaurant in a high street, and we had to shut it down because One, basically, the customer experience was completely, I mean, the expectation was different, and we landed up basically opening up a kiosk kind of a counter, which was not right for them. Like when they were expecting a Sagar Ratna, where they would come in and they would say, okay, Arey sir, aage aap baithiye, aapka number 4 hai. I mean, they want something like that, that needs to happen. And this is something if the marketing guys need to manage and work on. I would say that is the critical.
Pearl?
Yeah, so we've spoken about the consumer and markets being very big in the north and very promising, and I think that's perfectly going to be true. The next few years, many years, I think north will lead in terms of consumption. But if I'm the PM of India and I'm making one significant move for whether it is north or the rest of the country, but given I represent north right now, I would do what it takes to transform the stores into being part of the consumer connected experience, digitally enable the retail experience that we experience, whether in a food store or in a clothing store or a footwear store, and make it completely seamless with how I get to know the brand, consume the brand, and get serviced by the brand. So whether it is, I think at a basic level, it's infrastructure and software development, both in terms of the data pipelines that are needed and then the products that need to come out or the applications that need to come out. But if the vision has to be, let's say 5 years, digital transformation, the stores are not going to go away, but the stores don't need to sit distant from the consumer because traffic is not going to get lesser.
So simple, the shops and establishment rule gets changed. Then today onwards, any renewal of shops and establishment license need to have Wi-Fi, otherwise your store license doesn't get renewed, and maybe some change. Let me add up something more, because the panel is elitist in terms of what they deal with. I just want to add my bit to say, don't forget that the largest developmental agenda in the last few years in our country has happened in North. The kind of chief ministers who have come in, the kind of the visions that have got created, and therefore the development is happening much more. I mean, those of us in the mall business, okay, 5 years back we didn't have a single mall in Odisha, in Bihar, in UP, and today probably Lucknow, I'm told that is one of the most profitable cities for most retailers. So the opportunity of North India in terms of sheer population and what was not being driven because of infrastructure issues has suddenly actually started helping. It may not be here where we want, but from here it has moved here. And therefore, for us to look at even the mid part of our business is very important. I mean, all of us are always concentrating on the top 10%. To me, the center of the northern market, which is the 40-50%, has tremendous opportunities, and there the numbers are very, very large. Maybe the per unit transaction is low, maybe the aspiration is low, but if you ask me in 1991, when I was part of Shopper Stop when we started, we had to beg. I mean, you can imagine me begging a lady to come to we had only 2 brands, Lakme and Tips and Toes. Oh, and Yogeshwar is not very far off, I'm still not very old. Yeah? We had to beg ladies to come and get their nail done. Yeah? This is 1991. In 2008 or 7, we did a festival, makeover festival in Select City. We had 1,000 makeover done in a day, and we had in a table, we had the grandmother, mother, the granddaughter, 3 of them sitting together and getting makeover done on the face. I mean, look at the change that has happened. So I am saying similar things are likely to happen in many of the northern parts of the world. So we should not be missing opportunity. A lot of us caught on this boom in the west and the south and some major cities. I believe that the boom is now visible in many of the northern cities, and I think that should be the opportunity for us to really catch on and take on to the next level. Or we'll throw the session open for Q&A. We have another 13 minutes. We'll take 4 or 5 or 6 questions. A request, state your name. Please ask a question. If you want to make a comment or say something, register your name. Next time we'll bring you on the panel. Yeah? Please. Can we get a mic here, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. everyone. My name is Ritin. First of all, I would like to, point out that I would like really, yep. So I would really like to agree with what Pearl said about the whole customer experience when they enter the store, how they get to know it, how they get to know the customer. What I think that where B&M is, this is one area where B&M is falling far behind. The shopping experience is almost anonymous, as if the customer is there to dump their old 500,000 rupee currency notes. It is very anonymous, the entire customer shopping experience.
What is the question?
So the question is that how do we catch up? I mean, that's the technological challenge, and what is the way forward? One of the key areas where the shopping experience becomes relevant online is that we know what their last purchase was and what to recommend. But that doesn't happen in offline.
How do we get the offline online
yeah,
digitized?
what is the landscape like?
Yeah, Pearl, maybe you would want to pick up, or Anand. Anand, you want to pick up this?
So if I understand the question correctly, what you're asking is this whole business about consumer recognition and then personalized service, how do we do it, right? In a store.
Yep.
So first, I'll just take a 1 minute video. Actually, we all believe things have changed a big way, right? I think there's a misconception. If you look at 30, 40 years back, Nagesh was giving an example of going to a shopper. When my mom used to go 30 years back to a Sari store, the guy behind the desk exactly knew who my mom was, what she bought for last 3 years, what she would like to see, how the service level, if you have to drop the stuff at home, if at that time we used to even accept credit. I think this is the customer. So now that was possible for one store, one shopkeeper kind of setting. Today that is what we all are intended to replicate across probably 400 stores. So technology is probably the only way we will implement it. Now, if you look at the market today, people talk about human technology. So it's possible, right? Again, see, first fundamental belief that all of us should have is things are changing fast. Technology is changing fast. And it will be faster than what we believe it to be. Now, 3 years back, if someone would have said, oh, my business will be so big, I will love it. But today it's a reality. So in future, I think the way to go is probably it's a new technology which will say, okay, so and so person independent investor, they have probably learned complexity, they tell me other stuff about what you want. And then staff would be trained, they would have better devices or they would have technology support to interview better. Again, to my mind, as Paul was saying, the stores, it has changed the way it got presented to customers over here. If you remember 20 years back, you would go to buy a shirt, you would find a box with a small window which would shade what fabric it is or what style it is. Today, when you go, there is a lot more brand communication that is happening. Today, you can browse for the product, it's less necessary. In future, probably it will be some engagement, which will cater to all these questions.
Let me just add this. In one of the stores, we had a similar issue. One of the friends who asked, you know what was it? The average number of customers attended in the small store was 10 to 12 per day. They had 3 associates. Okay, and we said that each associate can very easily own the 3 customers, very easily. The challenge was the owners were not willing to share the telephone number of their own customer to the associate. And some of you, please go back and ask, is your database exposed to your retail staff? 90% it is no. But to me, we don't have to use technology. I think if an organization believes that I need to serve my customer without technology, there are means available. We all have created policies to safeguard ourselves, and in the process are probably not doing the best for the customers. Go and check this up, but there are other technologies. Another tone tag which has come up, which doesn't even require beacon. It is actually radio wave technology. You don't require beacon. If your phone, a simple phone has a speaker, all phones have speaker to speaker it talks. So I think there are some fantastic technologies that are coming. Any other questions, please? Yes. Keep it to the question request, yeah?
Hi, my name is Samir. I just have a small, just on an understanding part. How does you people, or as a panelist, you see the food buying behavior in the coming days? Primarily, I'm talking from the high perspective per se. How does the food, see, primarily apparel and other kind of things are, yes, we all are talking about. What will be the future for food buying?
I presume when you say food buying, it's more to do with the grocery kind of.
Yeah, supermarket is what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay. So the sense that I have on that is commodities will very soon, which is basically the staples part of the business, will move into the branded space. And people will no longer start looking at, I need this commodity, I mean a rice or a udad. The way they buy today is different versus actually going and buying a Tata udad or a Lever's rice. So that shift is definitely going to happen, and more people will start trusting the private labels that most of the online guys or the brick and mortar guys will be selling. So food space will become more competitive from that perspective, because commodities will change into brands and brands more leading into own labels. That's the sense.
Let me give you, since I'm also involved with Hypercity and I have some data which could be of interest. I think the value added services, the use of that by Indian consumer is absolutely rocking. 5 years back, you would buy a vegetable as fresh vegetable and pay 100 rupees per kg, for example. Today, many retail stores have actually started having 25 to 40% cut vegetables, which is being sold at 15% more premium. So can you believe that an Indian customer is willing to buy cut? And you'll be surprised that I have spoken to customers who come with their maid. The maid is carrying the trolley and she goes and picks up a cut vegetable. I asked this lady, ma'am, साथ में maid है, she's sitting at the house, why can't you get the vegetable cut from her? She said, इतना साफ नहीं काटती है और इतना साफ नहीं होता है. So, and she's paying 15% more for that. Look at what's happening to women in value-added services. You can buy a parachute coconut oil for 110 bucks, okay, and put it on your head and massage yourself. But you go and pay 650 rupees in a parlor to massage with the same parachute oil. I mean, this is what is happening to value-added. Food has become tremendous opportunity for value added. And this I can talk of in many segments. Talk of fresh meat, talk of juices. Look at what's happened to cold pressed juice. I mean, all of us have had ganne ka juice fresh, with a few makhi in between. Okay, but we are now paying 3 times for the cold pressed juice. So if you're in the food business, capture the value addition. Fantastic margins coming up, huge opportunity. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Nupur. You guys talked about the challenges in the industry, you know, from a supervisor perspective, you know, the behavioral issues. So you guys as industry leaders who are a part of this whole, you know, this whole growth chain that we're all endeavoring towards, what do you think are the kind of efforts that are being made or you'd like to initiate, you know?
Any one of you can pick up.
The question is that how do we make it a more feeling of belonging with the...
Yes, so basically when he talked about those two things, you know, like respect and the growth, the success path. So what are the kind of efforts, you know, which are actually being made or you'd like to initiate?
So I can take example of our company. We strongly believe that anybody can disagree with anyone without disrespecting, because generally they go hand in hand. But if we can, there's a thin line between disagreeing and disrespecting another person. And in our team, it's open door policy that anybody has access to anybody and they can talk playfully. And that has really added value to the whole organization. Sometimes it is not so, because some certain things are instruction driven. Sometimes you have to compromise on that, because even if you give instruction, the person comes back and says, ऐसे कैसे करना चाहिए. So वो always आती है. But it is better to have such column than having a higher attrition rate. In case of our restaurant, we are facing another problem that nobody is willing to leave. And you know, how long you can continue to give percentage rise in the salaries, and the carpenter becomes a lack of carpenter. It becomes very difficult, and he should not be punished for doing better work. So I feel that human beings, if we agree with someone, we agree thoroughly, without questioning. And if we disagree with someone, we don't even listen to the other person's point of view. So coming back to philosophy, sorry. Now, if you agree with someone, think twice. If you disagree with someone, think thrice, because the other person may have a point of view. So it is ultimately boiled down to the human behavior as a human being. No matter how rich you are, how educated you are, it comes down to the human behavior.
One last question, please. Go ahead.
Nagesh, I just wanted to add to
Where are you? Oh, sorry,
that
sorry.
piece about engagement in the front end, and something that he also talked about experience some time back. I think, there's a very, very large responsibility that is lying inside this room, outside this room, with the government, with the society at large, with industry bodies, with bodies like Images, to make retail a career of choice. I don't think retail is a career of choice today. We are all talking about, we are all, retailers today. How much of a, and going back to what Nagesh said a while back, how much of a respect do we give to the front end? And, we keep talking about this experience with the customers. Hug your customers. Hug your customers cannot happen if you don't hug your own people. So for the Retail Employee Day, we do not appreciate, I'm talking about my organization, we do not appreciate the employee. What we do is we go and appreciate their family. We called their father and their mothers to the store. The women that work in our fraternity, we call their husbands to the store. And we profusely thank them for allowing that women to come outside the house and work with us. And trust me, there have been such emotional moments in our stores where people have broken down because of the kind of respect that they got. They never even believed that they could get that kind of a respect. The people have broken down, and I have got feedback later on, ki, sir, you will not believe, even if I want to leave your brand tomorrow, my husband will not let me leave because of the kind of respect that he got from this brand. So I think, this entire experience thing, and obviously technology will play a very large part in recognition and understanding customers. But do we really understand our employees? How well do we connect with them? What is that level of connection? And what is that level of respect?
I would have loved to do the launch of the Retail Employees Day supplement at this stage, because I think you have touched it so beautifully. But somebody's already got a mic, so we'll allow him to the question. And after that, we are going to release the supplement which is already there on your tables. Please go ahead. Go ahead. No, mic is on. Just keep it closer and shout a little loud.
What's your view? Because from a consumer perspective also, of course, online caught up very fast without anybody realizing. Now, this 3D platforms or the visualization platforms and all are basically a step up from an adoption perspective, both from a consumer and also from you guys, right, retailers, right? Now, what's your view that, and of course it's going to happen, but there's some amount of, I would say, hand-holding needed or probably support needed so that the consumers and also retailers, because you talked about attrition and so on and so forth. So I'm asking more from a consumer perspective, but also from retailer perspective. What can be done?
I've got your question. Yeah. Allow me to answer this on behalf of the panelists, because I have some data to tell you. I can't disclose the name of the retailer, but there's a retailer, a very large retailer. They have actually started experimenting with what they call as personal shopper. Okay, the personal shopper actually serves the customer from the time he or she enters up to the last, including a lounge that they have. And they have tablet, and they have information prior and post through the database that they have. The average transaction of the customer, which was 3,000 rupees, currently is running at an average of 10,500. 3 times it has gone up because of personal shopping. That's number one. And the second is the average salary of the associates, which was 15,000 rupees, has gone to 28,000 rupees because the incremental incentive that the person has got. And the score from the customer in terms of satisfaction has jumped probably 40%. So it's a great win-win. But the effort the organization has taken to make this personal shopper happen, both in terms of understanding, skilling, training, transparency, and trust, as an enormous leap of faith. And it's taken probably 3 months and the CEO and everybody to start saying, boss, I can do it. But honestly, they have done it, and results are enormous, enormous. So my only learning is, if you believe in your people on the front end, okay, a lot of things can happen. But please trust them and don't trust with a mistrust. But I must say that you've been a wonderful audience. Before we close, I want to say 2 things and then ask the esteemed panelists to actually unveil the Retail Employees Day supplement. Retail Employees Day is celebrated in India on the 12th of December, started in 2011. And last year, we had close to about 20 lakh people in India celebrating and 20 lakh in Turkey. This year, I'm so happy to inform you, the India number looks like anywhere between 30-35 lakhs. Turkey, because of the bombing, they had a little subdued, but I still feel about 20 odd lakhs. But we had the full UAE joining hands. So Dubai has joined hands with India for celebrating Retail Employees Day. Bahrain celebrated, and some retailers in Singapore celebrated. Amazing response, and we have seen the feedback that we have got. What we thought is this is the best time to actually talk about and unveil the supplement, which is also there on the table. But not only that, we are doing something today evening. We did this in Bangalore day 4 yesterday. It was fantastic. Bangalore in the evening, in a very casual environment with a drink in the hand. We had a nice chat with Suhas Gopinath, I told you, the youngest CEO in the world. I mean, today in the evening, we're going to have a few of the stalwarts of North Indian retail. I mean, names, Haldiram, you're talking of W, the owners and the promoters who started businesses and have made it very successful. I mean, through the net, we can learn so much. Through digital, we can learn so much. But to learn from the people who started then and have made it successful, many of them have handed over succession, and the organization is going forward, will be phenomenal. So please don't miss the opportunity. Join us at 7:30. Amitabh particularly told me that there'll be whiskey and rum over and above wine. Okay, because he said you have to announce this, only then you'll get more crowd. So we will have, also, I'm told Black Label has moved to single malt. So Amitabh, be prepared. We're all looking forward to you to be there in the evening and join and celebrate and give respect to some of the seniors of the industry. Look forward to seeing you. Can I request the panelists to unveil the supplement, please? I also must tell you, there are some supplements on your table. The model that you see on the supplement, the model that you see on the cover page of the supplement is a steward, a waiter of a restaurant called Greens. It's a small restaurant in Malad. Okay, and we shot him to bring him on the cover, and see how nice and how happy he looks being here. Yeah, go through the supplement. Huge amount of celebrations happened. Retail Employees Day was trending twice day 4 yesterday on Twitter. Now, all this has happened only because of the support that all of you have given. All the best. Have a nice day. And thank you very much to the panelists.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nagesh, for moderating that panel so extremely well. Please put a huge, huge, huge round of applause for Mr. Nagesh for being so prompt and for addressing so many queries of us and taking them to the panel. And we thank all our esteemed set of panelists for being here, taking time off and joining us in this great discussion talking about the paradigm shift in the consumer behavior, we moving towards the digitally enhanced world, and how things in the entire paradigm is changing. And now I request all of our panelists to kindly be on stage for just a little more, because we have token of appreciations to be given to each one of you, to thank you for being here and to thank you for being gracious enough to join us for this discussion. We have our representatives and giving you the token of appreciation. Oh yes, about those guys who sat on the chair with a red band. You know, you're the lucky ones who are going home with...
Girlfriends.
So we have a very special gift to be given away from W to the guys who are sitting on the chairs with the red bands.
Wow.
So that's the good news for the people who chose to come in the front and take those chairs. So you can probably come forward and we have the gifts ready for you waiting here.
Wonderful. Please, please. Why don't one of you? Anand, come. No, come.
So I'd request Mr. Nagesh to do the honors, to give the gifts to all of the people sitting on the chairs with the red band. Let's have a round of applause going up.
देखिए सर, कभी-कभी सही जगह बैठने का बहुत फायदा होता है. Thank you very much. Thank you. please ensure that you give it to the right partner, huh? Can you all come on
Can
the
we all
stage,
come on
please?
stage and click a picture together?
Yeah, please come. These are all the winners.
Everybody, all the winners.
Oh, sorry, please come. Come, go on the stage, yes. Yes, please.
Thank you,
very
and
much.
now
Thank
I'd
you,
like to
thank you.
invite
Thank you.
all our panelists. All right, so the token of appreciation to be given to all of you. I'd request our representatives to kindly give the token of appreciations.